GLAM, Los Angeles.
Hi, Kirby. Hi, Sarah. Welcome to Los Angeles.
Sarah, did you know that May 20th is the busiest day for beauty brands in the city of Los Angeles?
Why?
Because there's like 8 events today.
Oh, yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm like, we need a Calendly.
We really do.
We
it would
really-
be very helpful.
Maybe I'll start a calendar and then brands have to pay to be a part of it to put their event on there.
Mm-hmm.
And then that way everybody knows, oh, we've hit a fever pitch in terms of how
Yeah.
many events can be held on one day.
Right.
Why May 20th? Is it because it's ahead of Memorial Day weekend and they didn't want to do it on that Thursday because people are leaving town
Probably. That's probably it.
and they
then
want to
I
get
think
their
it's
summer
like-
kickoff?
Yeah. And I think that's exactly it. Like the summer product launches, the weather's really beautiful. It's ahead of Memorial Day weekend. It's like the perfect last push.
So
I don't think I'm going to anything.
I'm going to 4 different things. And,
Good for
and,
you.
and actually in a realistic point of view, probably 2.
Yeah. Right. So great. Sorry.
Sorry to everyone. Also, Sarah, what's your favorite part of summer? What do you look forward to during the summer?
Okay. I used to be like anti-beach, which is stupid because I grew up by the beach. But I don't enjoy like sitting out for hours. I still don't. I can't. And I need to have an umbrella and I need to have shade. And I'm not just saying that like Evelyn Tan is the reason why I'm scared of the sun, but also I just get headaches. However, now that I have Zoe and Cade, and because Matt is such like a fish in the ocean, I like really look forward to being by the beach. And we're close to the beach, so it's just like something fun to do. And it really is, it's nice. It's nice to sit, but I can only do maybe 2 hours. And I have to have snacks, and I have to have my, selection of sunscreen and like a cute swimsuit on.
My idea of a good day at the beach is a tent set up
Yes.
with tables,
Yep.
preferably by somebody else.
Right.
I have nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
I show up, I've arrived, I've paid somebody else to do it.
Yeah. Or a beach house situation where you can see the ocean from the living room
Yes.
and there's AC.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't have to worry about my melasma.
Yeah.
Yes. That's how I feel about the beach. My favorite memory of the beach literally is we took Quinn when she was a baby.
Yeah.
She wasn't even 1.
Was she
And
like,
First of all,
Yeah.
yes, she could
Yeah.
barely walk on
Yeah.
the sand. But then she thought the sand was her personal buffet
Yeah.
and was just like trying to eat it all. And
Yeah.
I'm like, you're gonna have an impacted stomach. You cannot eat the sand. So then we had to pick her up and walk her the whole time.
Oh my gosh, Quinnifer.
Quinnifer Aniston. But my favorite thing about the summer, thanks for asking, is Cinespia.
Oh yeah, that's truly like LA summer. LA summer.
LA summer for me is Cinespia and also the movie Dazed and Confused.
Do they always show that every summer?
They don't show it every summer. They're separately for me. That's what summer is.
Got it.
So Dazed and Confused was partially filmed in my hometown of Georgetown, Texas.
Oh, I didn't know that.
My man, my future husband, Ben Affleck, has a starring role in that movie. I love that you're like,
Why?
is he?
Why? No, not that is he, but why? Why Ben Affleck? Why Ben Affleck, Kirby?
Have you seen him? A.
Yeah.
B, have you heard him? He can speak Spanish.
I was like, when
he
he speaks
could
Spanish?
literally speak Spanish to JC Chazet, telling him to sing This I Promise You in
Yeah.
Spanish when Ben is on one
Okay.
knee proposing to me. I absolutely love him. Also, he's come so far. If you
Is-
see him in Dazed and Confused and then you see him now, you're like, wow, that's
Yeah.
the glow up of the century.
Okay.
He looks incredible.
Is he
No.
on Raya? Do you know?
Ben Affleck, are you on Raya? I don't know. I can't talk about it if he is because it's
Oh,
like
right,
against
right.
the
You're
Raya
gonna
rules
break-
or whatever.
Yeah, totally.
But I haven't seen him. But I would love to see him. Ben.
That's her favorite part about summer is Ben Affleck.
Truly. Love that man. But no, Cinespia, if you come to LA and you want to do something that's like really an LA centric thing,
Yeah.
you go to Cinespia. What is Cinespia? Outdoor movie projected on a mausoleum at Hollywood Forever Cemetery. It really combines all of my favorite things.
Yeah. Spooky,
Spooky.
history,
Yep. Los Angeles.
Los Angeles,
They have snacks there.
entertainment,
Yes. It's
cinema.
Cinema. It's cinema. It's all of my favorite things, truly. I love it so much. And they play old classics.
Yeah.
So it's usually never a recent, it's like
Right.
something from 20 plus years ago.
And then they usually bring that guest out.
So Clueless 30th anniversary viewing party, I'm going to miss, unfortunately, not super unfortunately, RJ Larisse, if you're listening to this, I'm so sorry.
I thought they did it last year.
Well, they do it a lot.
Oh,
They
okay.
do. Will bring in the people, and they also have a photo booth. That's a big important part of it. They have these really amazingly designed photo booths.
Yeah.
But this year, it's the 30th anniversary of Clueless. Can you believe it?
No, that's crazy. Oh my God. Listening to Paul Rudd talk about auditioning for that part on Amy Poehler's podcast. First of all, I know he's like, I don't care what you think about Paul Rudd and him being like maybe one of the least interesting guests on that podcast. I ate that episode up
Did
every
people
second.
think that?
No, I just think I was talking about that podcast to someone else and they're like, it's just so white. I was like, well, they had Quinta on and that was a really good episode, but I don't know. It's also all her friends.
It's just her friends.
It's just her
I'm
friends.
sorry. At the time, she made friends with a bunch of white people
Yeah,
on
yeah,
SNL.
yeah,
Like, what can you
unfortunately.
do?
But
Like,
anyways,
whatever.
But the Paul Rudd episode, and then he's talking about how he like shaved his head. And then the
And they were like,
director
we
was
thought you were
like,
going to have long hair.
yeah, what are you going to do? Yeah. And then he got, oh my God. It was just.
That podcast is truly my happy place. I
Me
watch it like TV.
too.
I get so excited in the morning on Tuesdays. I go in to do my makeup
So
and I turn it on my phone
good.
and I watch it and I laugh out loud every time. But
Also, she's obsessed with Laneige, the lip sleeping mask.
yeah, I'm like, someone sponsor her.
sponsor
Laneige.
her.
Like, you are really missing the mark if you're not.
She like stops the episode to reapply
Lip balm
and
application.
talks about it.
yeah, she needs to do it. But
Yeah.
anyways, they are doing this thing and they usually bring out like a guest. So for Clueless, Alicia will probably
Yeah.
come. Who else do you think? Well, Paul?
Paul, you available?
So it would be really devastating if he did, because my friend RJ, his birthday is always Memorial Day weekend for the most part. And he always has a party that he invites you to like 4 months in advance.
Oh.
And so I love that you're like,
and you
oh.
can't make it.
Yeah, I'm like,
She's gonna break the news right now.
I'm like, I'm not going to be at your party. No, I always go to his party.
Yeah.
But then I miss Cinespia.
Oh, got it.
The
I
opening
see.
weekend, I always miss it. So it's
Got
a
it.
bummer. But not a bummer to celebrate you, RJ. Don't
Yeah,
take this the wrong
yeah,
way.
yeah.
But that's one of the things where I'm like, every summer I have to go to
Yeah.
some type of screening
Okay.
just to feel something.
No, totally. And then it's like the picnic. You have to bring like the spread of food.
Oh,
It's,
I
like,
love
so
picking out the
fun.
snacks at Trader Joe's and
Yeah.
like what drinks you're gonna have. I have a tarp. I have my whole game plan
It's
down.
good vibes. You have to have a good game plan. You
You
have to go
do.
with someone who knows what they're doing.
Right. Don't just show up.
Yeah.
Like, you need to investigate and talk to someone that knows. But that's my favorite part of LA summers is Cinespia.
I know. Even though it gets really hot here, it's like summer is really, really like people are like, oh, are you going anywhere for summer? And I'm like, I like to be in LA in the summer.
Same. And also, truly, I love LA in the
Yeah.
summer. It's the place to be. But
Yeah.
also, next week when this goes live, it's going to be so warm. It's
I
going to
know.
be 80s to 90s.
I know.
I'm like, we're
I know.
back, baby.
We are.
We're back.
We are back.
Okay, let's get into some launches.
Yes. Okay. So we have a few celebrity beauty brand launches that we want to talk about. First, and maybe most excitingly, we've got Shakira.
Shakira. Oh, baby, I know I usually say, well, this was
Yes.
in high school. I would be, or maybe college. My breasts are small,
Small
and
and
humble,
humble.
so you don't confuse them with mountains.
You don't have
now
small
you may
and
be
humble.
confusing them with mountains.
Yeah, mine are very small and humble. I definitely.
But that's such a good way to
Yeah.
calling them small and humble.
They are small and
Not
humble.
like the itty bitty titty committee.
No, exactly. Okay, when you think of Shakira, besides her hips, what do you think of?
Her hair, obviously.
Yes.
Obviously.
So she is launching Isima Hair Care.
Ooh.
It was born from her personal quest for products that cater to her naturally curly hair. She was frustrated with the lack of options, so she collaborated with a lab to develop solutions addressing issues like frizz, dryness, and shine. So we don't know so this is like kind of been teased. They haven't officially announced, I believe. They're accepting waitlist signups for their launch. So I think it's definitely coming in summer.
Ooh.
So that's exciting.
Okay.
I feel like, what do you think?
I mean, if she's doing anything, it's got to be her hair.
It's got to be her hair.
So again, like,
she could have done skin because she looks good.
I mean, she looks amazing.
Yeah.
She's a beautiful woman.
But
and
I like that she picked hair.
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
Right.
If I'm thinking of a celebrity
Yeah.
beauty brand.
And
Okay.
at this point, it needs to make sense.
And she has like a diehard fan base, so it's like
Diehard.
I'm sure like her team was like, it's time to make a product.
Exactly. Okay. We also have Jasmine Tookes, who is the extremely gorgeous supermodel. She, along with Sabrina Castenfell, have launched Brunel, which is a wellness-inspired body care brand. I was talking to Jenny Lin, one of the founders of Foundation. They represent the brand, and she was saying that Jasmine has like a diary from when she was like a teenager, and in it says she wanted to start her own beauty brand.
Oh, wow.
So this is something that truly she has wanted to do for a really, really long time. She launched with 3 body oils. It's really, really beautiful. It's did I say the name yet?
Brunel.
Okay. So the product's Awakening, Renewal, and Golden Hour Glow. It's got squalane, ceramides, vitamin C, meant to nourish and elevate. So yeah, that's coming out. It's actually just launched. It just
Who
launched
was her
on the 15th.
co-founder?
Sabrina Castenfeld.
Who is that?
She's an investor. She went to Harvard.
I always am curious when you have a celebrity brand. And for those who may not be familiar with Jasmine, model, was a Victoria's Secret angel. I think she still is since they revived it. And by the way, I think Jasmine was the best looking woman in a white suit on the Met carpet. I liked her Met look in the all white with the hat over Zendaya and Anna.
Okay.
Sorry, they're all stunningly beautiful.
Yeah.
But for me, Jasmine's was the most aesthetically interesting.
Okay. Yeah. No, I mean, she's just like a beautiful woman. So,
But I am curious, when you have a celebrity launching a brand, what's the idea behind co-founding it versus just being an investor or just being a CEO? Is it that in Jasmine's case, people know her as being beautiful, but not necessarily a beauty expert? So they're like, we're going to bring Sabrina on, but I haven't personally heard of Sabrina outside of maybe investing in brands.
Right.
So what makes her the best co-founder for this?
Right.
I think it's kind of similar to me thinking about The Outset with Kate and Scarlett. I feel like there is a conflict there where it's like, well, we're co-founders, so we want to be together. But then it's like, for you and me, we know that the consumer isn't super interested in that co-founder. They're interested in the celebrity.
Yeah. And in a lot of the marketing materials I'm seeing, it's the two of them very much so, and not just Jasmine. So
interesting.
Yeah, we'll have to learn more about why behind that. And then third, Miss Savannah James, the beautiful wife of LeBron James, is launching Reframe, which is a skincare brand developed, she said, over the last 2 years in collaboration with dermatologists and researchers. It's inspired by her daughter and her desire for inclusive skincare solutions. This launched last week. They launched with a pigment processor, which is a brightening serum targeting dark spots and irritation, a compression complex, which is a facial sculpting cream meant to hydrate and define, and then circadian cream, which is an overnight collagen moisturizer aimed at repairing the skin barrier. Not the first person to launch a circadian-focused product, but Kirby and I were talking about this. What's really cool about the brand is that they partnered with Howard University's College of Dermatology to ensure efficacy across all skin tones. This is really Savannah's approach to combining like the clinicals with accessibility. So
What's the price point?
That's a good question.
I was under the impression this was more of a prestige brand for some reason. I'm not sure why. I remember Allure went into her bathroom and she talked about how she's a beauty product fiend and that she was launching a brand. So I think that was teased last year. So I've been interested to see what she was going to come up with.
Okay, look how cute.
Okay, Reframe.
Yeah, it's for some reason in my head.
That was not what I thought.
No, I thought maybe like prestige.
I thought prestige elevated. More like late millennial.
But it's very colorful. The pigment processor is sort of like this coral. Then the Reframe is this kind of like minty green. And then the circadian cream is this purple.
I transparently am not very interested in the circadian cream. I'm sure it's probably a lovely formulated product, but anytime people really try to tap into that circadian messaging, it's just hard for me to really get behind, because do you actually have proof that this product is working better, more so than who you would consider your competitors in terms of how it repairs your skin at night?
Yeah. We gotta see some clinicals here.
But I do think that the pigment processor is I like that name.
Yeah, me too.
And then what's the other product?
Compression complex, and it's supposed to
compression.
Sculpt and
Love
when you think of that, you're like, I want a compression.
I talk all the time about products that I like being a corset for my face.
Yeah,
and that really
skims
speaks to me.
for our
Yes,
face.
yes.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Okay.
It's expensive. So the pigment processor is $115.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So this is prestige.
This is prestige. It's just more of like a fun packaging. The compression complex is $95, and then the circadian cream is $135.
Have you gotten any of the products from any of the brands that we mentioned that have launched?
No.
Me either.
I am excited to try.
Me too.
I also want to know if the glams are interested in hearing from any of these founders.
Yeah, is there any of these, are any of these launches interesting or sexy to you? And if so, why? That's what I want to know. No,
No, she
did that
means
come
that,
off rude?
No. We always want to know why. It's why. Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
tell us the why. Tell us the why. I have
Yeah.
my thoughts on who I think is the most interesting there, but
Yeah. But all of them seem like I'm excited. I'm excited to try each of them. So
same.
And if you listeners, viewers, end up trying any of the products too, let us know what you think.
Please do. Okay, so I think the biggest headline of the past week was that Shiseido's earnings declined 8.5% and Drunk Elephant sales slid 65%. This is a report from Business of Fashion. It says the Japanese cosmetics giant reported an 8.5% decrease in sales on Monday, with particularly steep losses at the prestige skincare brand Drunk Elephant and its American and Chinese businesses. I thought this was interesting because then I saw another story, and the publication is escaping me, but it talked about how this consultancy was telling people, investors, to buy now because they could get some brands at a more favorable price than they maybe anticipated. And they mentioned a bunch of different brands that were up for that, and they included Drunk Elephant. Which I was like, but
Didn't they already?
I was like,
Yeah.
Shiseido literally acquired them for like some insane number, over $800 million
Yeah. Are
a
they
couple
for
years
sale?
ago. But then because of this, they could potentially be bought and sold and bought by another company. Yeah, okay. So this is what this, y'all are like, get to the point.
No.
So
it's
this story
juicy.
from Daniela Morosini says that the first quarter earnings revealed that drop in net sales and that there was a very sharp drop in U.S. sales, and that Drunk Elephant, which she writes once one of the buzziest names in the group's portfolio, was particularly hit hard with sales down 65% year on year, which is kind of crazy. And the company is still maintaining its forecast of essentially flat growth for the year ahead. However, Shiseido noted particularly challenging conditions in multiple markets. The drop was particularly due to inventory issues, that the $39 bronzing drops are a viral hit and as such faced stock shortages, but also the brand needed to clarify its target customer base to reinvigorate itself. So it's feeling bleak, okay? Then the story comes out from friend of the pod, Brennan Kilbane, and it says Drunk Elephant was never for kids. What a headline.
Which,
Duh.
true. Facts. I don't think anyone would argue with that.
So it says the clean beauty brand has faced significant challenges in the years since it was acquired by Shiseido, but its embrace of younger consumers may have been its biggest misstep. It says that the main source of Drunk Elephant's woes was the ever fickle teenagers who embraced it wholeheartedly during the height of the Sephora tween phase last year before quickly moving on, exposing a gaping wound in its brand identity.
I like the subhead. The curse of the Sephora tweens.
Okay, so now Sephora is going to have to get the PR on that Sephora tween's actually a good thing and not a bad thing, right? Okay. So Brennan outlines, what happened here. And we don't need to go tit for tat on like the Sephora tween craze. That was a thing that I think even maybe helped popularize, because I remember people telling us this is not a real thing.
Yeah.
When we talked about it at first.
Let me tell you something.
And we're like, we were right, actually, but thanks. In his story, spoke to a few people like Casey Lewis. They write the Teen Trend newsletter after school. He talked to like a mother of a tween and stuff like that. And he said that Drunk Elephant essentially alienated its initial fan base of millennials and Gen X for Gen Z and Gen Alpha when the brand ethos didn't align, where their products are prestige, they're expensive, and the ingredients are super potent. A lot of them are not meant for a tween fan base. Sarah, what are your thoughts when it comes to this explanation of how Drunk Elephant has kind of lost their footing?
I personally do not think that Drunk Elephant ever tried to market towards a younger audience. I think that conversation, the popularity among Sephora tweens was sort of out of their hands. And we even had Tiffany Masterson on the podcast, and she said, like, they're not making these products for a younger demographic. In fact, a lot of these products are not suitable for younger skin. It just so happened that it was like catching like wildfire among them, and they just wanted it, you know? But it's always been for millennials and Gen X.
100%. I agree with you. I also think, you know, even if Tiffany had come on here and said those things, which she did, that this is not a brand for tweens, we don't market for tweens, she's correct. The brand has literally never marketed for tweens.
And they've always been colorful. They've always been playful. It's been a elephant logo all along. Like, they've never changed anything about. They've always done fun packaging. Their mailers have always been really fun. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think any of their ethos has changed to cater to a younger audience.
Right. I've not seen any social promos targeting tweens or Gen Z. I know that they created a kit or maybe a few with products in it that were quote unquote safe for a younger demographic because
they had to.
They had to. I don't know what else they would have done because people were also bitching, for lack of better words, about not being able to figure out what products were good for their kids' skin.
Right. Just because it was mini didn't mean that it was okay for their tweens.
Right.
Which they never said it was.
Right. So I have a big problem when I'm reading stuff like this. And I get it. Like, at the end of the day, it's what the consumer feels. And in Brennan's story, the consumer, which is like a 46-year-old woman who is Drunk Elephant's demographic, felt alienated by them and then said, I'm also not buying this for my tween, a $70 moisturizer. And then also, I'm not going to buy it either for myself so that she can just steal it. Like, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I feel empathy. Is that the right term for Drunk Elephant? Because what were they supposed to do?
Right.
And also, I don't think this is by their design.
No.
They didn't create the packaging and the products so that teenagers would lose their minds and want to collect them like highlighters. People just gravitated towards them.
Right.
And then they bought them. And then at the same time, I remember thinking, well, I don't, you know, like I actually didn't have any feelings about it. I'm like, okay, if a teenager wants to use Drunk Elephant, that's fine.
Right.
I think the product that they launched, the more thick moisturizer with the peach top, I can't remember the name of it. I love that moisturizer. I think it's beautiful. I have not used a lot of Drunk Elephant products in a really long time outside of that. And I think personally, in my very humble opinion, that it's not, sure, maybe the drop is like that these tweens jump from brand to brand. But I also kind of disagree with that because there are brands that are sustaining and have not had these drops that have huge tween fan bases, like Sol de Janeiro, Summer Fridays, Glow Recipe. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I do think it's a mix up of so many different aspects, like their bronzing drops not being available. Then what happened?
Right.
They put a product on the map, okay, with Alex Earl. People were dying to have bronzing drops. Then every other brand launches a bronzing drop at a cheaper price point. So it's cannibalized. And then by the time they get their bronzing drops back, people are like, well, I found a better, cheaper, more accessible option.
Yeah.
So I think that's a huge part of it that's not being I finished the story. I don't remember reading that, but perhaps that's part of it. And then also at the same time, you know, we're getting these headlines about how this assembly member in California is trying to get retailers to check people's IDs. So there's all this negativity around Sephora tweens and tweens using Drunk Elephant. And so then parents are like, I'm not buying you a $70 moisturizer. I mean, they were probably thinking that anyways, but then they're like, on top of that, all this negativity around it. They're like, I think we're good on Drunk Elephant. Let's find you a more affordable option because I think also Drunk Elephant's done a good job of explaining this is not a teen brand.
Right.
So then they're like, as a parent, you're like, well, I'm not going to buy you products that are not meant for your skin.
Yeah.
I don't want you to burn your skin off.
Right.
So they gave in for a little bit. They caught on to the craze and they said, okay, we got to find something more affordable. We want you to be interested in skincare, but let's figure that out. And so I think it's the perfect storm of all these things together, not just that tweens are fickle and are like, F you, now I'm going on to the next brand. Because I don't think that that's true.
No, absolutely not. I feel like they need to rethink their marketing and their PR strategy and focus on like the Gen X or millennials again. Not that they weren't, but like go hard. Like not come out and say like we're not for the Sephora tween, but like really work with like, some of these like more mature skin influencers to show again and remind people like how incredible their products are.
I also think it needs to be product first again.
Yeah.
I know that they've had some launches, but there has not been a product in many, many years, I think since the acquisition by Shiseido.
Yeah.
Baby facial was it's a crazy product.
Yeah.
It's bonkers.
It's too much. It's too much for me personally, but for a lot of people, yeah.
I like it. I don't use it all the time, but I feel like that was a hero product.
Their, what is it? The Lala Retro Whipped Cream. Amazing. The Protini Polypeptide Cream. And then the Bora Barrier.
The Bora Barrier.
Yeah.
I love that product.
All their moisturizers are really just so good. You cannot go wrong with their moisturizers.
But I think that put product first again. Innovate. Do something different that kind of sets the tone like those bronzing drops did.
I think if anything, it was the acquisition that sort of, like, they're in like this weird, like, which a lot of brands are. When they get acquired, it's like they're trying to find their footing again. It's like, who are we? What is our identity? Obviously,
but they were acquired like in 2018. Like it's been a minute, right?
Maybe they've just.
Are you saying it's like the curse of the acquisition where once a brand has been, they were acquired in 2019 for $845 million.
Yes.
So do you think that it's them trying to find their footing in a sense that, like, for instance, Urban Decay, it's just feeling tired?
Well, and I think we also saw there was murmurings about Tiffany sort of stepping down, right?
Yes.
So I think it's also that too, where it's like, we don't know exactly how long she has not been a part of the brand. Maybe we're just hearing that she's stepping down, but she hasn't actively been like part of the conversation about product development, which we know this happens a lot with, like you said, Wendy and Urban Decay, Jared and Too Faced. There's just changes that happen when you become acquired and you sort of lose full control of, how your brand is the vision, the mission in your mind.
Also, okay, so I have a counterpoint to that. I did not think of Tiffany when I thought of this brand. I would think of Wendy when I thought of this brand, or when I thought of Urban Decay.
Yeah.
Jared with
Too Faced.
But I wasn't like Drunk Elephant, Tiffany Masterson.
Right.
I don't think that and maybe I am speaking out of turn if I'm saying that's for how most people
she wasn't very
associate it.
Public facing, but I feel like she was involved very heavily.
She was. But what I'm saying is that like the loss of Wendy and the loss of Jared were felt by the consumer when it came to them leaving their brands.
Yeah.
I don't know if
her leaving impacts the consumer, if they care whether,
But also her even being there impacted the consumer. Like they weren't like, well, she has to be there or I don't care.
Right.
Or I feel like I've lost something.
Don't you feel like it affects the products?
I don't know because I don't know how involved she's been with
so that's what we don't know. I'm just
either.
trying to find another reason as to why there has been this big slump.
I do think it's the perfect storm at the same time.
Yeah.
All those things I just mentioned. But then remember, she was the one that really coined that like dirty six or whatever. That term that really got people off of parabens and got people like demonizing all these ingredients. She was a real stickler for those. She also was talking about cocktailing products, which is like every single expert I've ever spoken to is like never mix your serum with your whatever.
Which the tweens were doing.
Yes. I think that was their brand proposition, their point of difference at the beginning, before their acquisition, okay, where you could cocktail and you could do this. And then also we don't have all these nasties, like we're made without all these things. But now there's a billion clean brands that are cheaper and that make products that work well enough to keep them coming back. And because they're cheaper, it's a easier point of entry for people to try and see what they like. So I do think that they were on that crutch of we're clean, we don't make products with this, or this. And that was what got people initially excited about it. But now it's like, well, I could go to the grocery store at this point and find something that's made without like a paraben.
Right.
In my humble opinion, tweens, I don't think that you're the reason why
you're the problem.
It's a huge slump. I mean, unless there's data in the story that just was not included about like, at this point, these kids stopped caring.
Right. I can't get into the Puck article about Tiffany leaving, like when she left.
So that's the other thing. The Puck article written by Rachel Strugatz, I am a member of Puck, but now they have the Puck Inner Circle.
Oh, so you have to pay extra for that?
So you have to pay more.
Oh,
and I'm like,
sorry.
babes, we're in a recession, or going to be. I got to
that.
like pinch my pennies here. I love
Can
supporting
you just
journalism.
text Rachel?
No, I'm like, can you like just screenshot this for me and tell me what happened? But apparently it was some kind of bombshell of reports that Tiffany was leaving. And then Brennan actually does mention it in his story. He says that Puck reported that Tiffany was going to be stepping down from her day-to-day duties as chief creative officer. But Shiseido did not comment on the speculation. So it's not confirmed.
Okay.
But sounds like Rachel's got a scoop. And I know Rachel's not going to be saying anything unless she's got a couple of sources to verify it.
Yeah.
I wish I knew what those sources were, but we can't. Maybe we'll expense it.
Yeah.
We'll expense it. That's what I always say. We'll expense it. We'll get into the inner circle at Puck.
Glams, tell us if you still use Drunk Elephant in your routines.
Have you been using Drunk Elephant?
Have you been using it? Is it a brand that you still love? Like you, I haven't used it in a really long time. And that's not to say that I don't still like their products. There's just so many competitors at this point.
Yep.
And I think for the tweens too, Brennan mentions it, there's like Bioma and Bubble and also a lot of brands that sort of look like Drunk Elephant at a very accessible price point. So I don't know. That's not to say that if I had the polypeptide cream drop on my table that I wouldn't use it, because I would. It's a brand that I know will work and that I trust, but yeah, it's just not top of mind.
Yes. So if you want more intel on this, Brennan wrote a really great story about it. Check it out at Business of Fashion.